Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning into the Financial Investor channel. My name is Brent, and today we're going to be doing a look here at the seller's property disclosure. I wanted to create more real estate investment style videos. I'm in contract right now with the 3 bedroom, 1 bath. I made an offer on a duplex that's a 4-2. It's 2 and 1 on one side. It's it's very brand new on the market. It hasn't had any offers on it. So I made an offer today on Sunday, and we'll see how that one goes through. So here we're going to be doing a video on the seller's property disclosure statement. So if you are brand new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you do like the content, hit the like button. And if you have any questions at all, leave them in the comment section below. I always respond to your guys' comments. Okay, so what is the seller's property disclosure statement? Well, whenever you're in contract and you make an offer on a home and they accept it, you can ask for the seller's property disclosure statement. You can ask for the lease agreement. You can ask for a number of little things here. But today, we're going to be talking about the property disclosure statement, which is just a form that the sellers fill out that go over the conditions of the property, and they have to disclose if there were any improvements, renovations, upgrades done that they're typical. You replaced a roof, you installed a new septic system, and then additions to the back of the home. I did a walkthrough on one of the properties that I had was in contract with. It had huge issues, holes in the ground. It had an addition in the back that wasn't permitted. It was ripping off the main portion of the house. So that was not done with a city building permit. So you would have to go to the city and get them approved. That costs extra money, and I don't want to really have to deal with it. They have to disclose if there was any existence of pets, termite problems, neighborhood issues, and so on. So if there's any issues with the deed, or the any liens on the deed and so on. So that's what we're going to be doing. This is a typical property disclosure statement here in Oregon. I'm not sure if yours may be different here, but I am located here in Oregon, and that's where I'm in contract with on this home. So let's go ahead and go through here. So if you ever buy a home and it's just been bought from a construction company, which is what I bought. I bought my own personal home back in 2013 from a brand new construction. So this portion here would be filled out. You would get this here initialed and sign that this is the first sale of this dwelling and it's never been occupied. And you would just buyer would sign and date, just verifying that they agree. It's never been occupied, it's brand new, and then it could be purchased. But if it has been occupied by either the seller or a tenant, then you would go into the following issue, or the following statement. So here, first thing you would take a look at is, whoops, I'm writing on my first page. If you want more information than what the sellers are presenting to you from these conditions, you can always ask for an architect, an engineer, plumber, electrician, roofers. You can get a building inspector, certified home inspector, and pest and rot inspector. So I am paying for my home inspector to come out. I always recommend getting a home inspection done and having the contingency for a home inspector in there. So if there's some crazy issue with the roof, the foundation, because of that contingency, and you have this inspection done, you can actually pull out of the deal. You get back your vested money. What's it called? Earnest money. You would get that all back. You'd have to pay for the inspection, which is maybe $375. And then I like to ask for the pest and dry rot inspections here in Oregon to be done by the seller. So I'll pay for the inspector. Pest and dry rot will be done and paid for by the seller. And because we live in Oregon, there's a bunch of homes here made out of wood and trees. So pest and dry rot is always recommended there as well. And this is not being occupied by the seller. This is actually has a tenant in place. So once I got the property disclosure statement, and I already knew there was a tenant in there, so I asked for the lease agreement as well. History for the tenant, how long has the tenant been in place? Have they ever missed their rent? How often, and so on. Are they behind? So these are all questions you should ask whenever you are buying a property that has a tenant. I plan on actually removing the tenant once I either take the property, or if they're able to be removed prior, that would be great. Plan on fixing it up and getting it rented at the market level. Right now it's rented almost near half of what it should be rented for. So maybe they were doing somebody a favor there. So basically the very first thing is the title check. So these are the areas here. So first thing you want to check for, if there's any sort of title issues. This is a huge thing because they would have to get cleared up before you could even take control of it. So here, there's nothing wrong with the title. Is there anything wrong with the deed or any sort of issues as far as limitations with the land, property, water rights, all of that? That would all be listed here. You can kind of pause it and go through here. I don't want to name them all off because that would take forever. But this is basically just title issues, any sort of zoning, overlay, and such. Or actually, here's the water issue, or the water. So here you would disclose if the source of the water is public, community, private, if they have a well, or some other way of getting water to that property, then you would put it on there. And does the water source require a water permit? So here it's all public, so no, those are important. Otherwise, it would cost additional money once you took control of the property. So next here, on to page 3 here, start at the top. Still talking a little bit about water rights and such. Bacteria. Has there been any sort of bacteria or plumbing problems that need to be disclosed or that need to be prepared? Any sort of treatments done on the water itself? So plumbing is a huge thing you need to check for. So kind of starting back over here, let's start back on the first page here. So yeah, nothing big on the first page, especially if you're buying it from somebody. My main things here is title. Make sure that the title is clean, because that'll cost you money to fix up the title. Make sure there's no liens against it, issues with the boundary from the city. Next is water. Check to make sure that the water source is public, unless you don't want a public water source. If there's any permits that are needing for that source or that you'll have to be charged for, and then also check if there's any sort of plumbing issues or that need to be repaired. And if there's any bacteria in that property, that's also important. Next is irrigation. Does it have a sprinkler system? Now, it's not important for me to have a sprinkler system. This property here is mainly gravel and what's it called? Bark. It's something else. They call it, Lowe's and Home Depot, they have that. I can't think of the name right now. I have it all outside my front lawn, but it's just like that. I can't think of the name. Okay, anyways, kind of going over. This property has mainly gravel over it, not a whole lot of grass, so they don't have a sprinkler system installed. It's also going to be a rental, and sprinkler systems, they can freeze over if they're not well insulated. They can cause issues, leaks. That's just another area that can cause and spring issues. So this one, it's about a B class property, B area, B class property, and no sprinkler system. That's completely fine. Here, sewage. Does it have access to a public sewage? This is important. You don't want to be paying. I don't like septic tanks. I don't want to pick up any properties that have septic tanks because that could cause issues. If the septic tank is old, 20 plus years, it may need to be replaced. There's a bunch of new laws in place that the septic tank needs to be so far away. It's just extra money getting tacked on to the cost of the home and repair costs. So here, check if there's a septic tank and make sure it has access to the public sewage system. And then everything here is just sort of applicable to the septic system, and if there's any sewage system problems or repairs needed. So here's another big thing. Make sure that on top of plumbing up here being disclosed, that there's no sort of plumbing issues or water issues that are needed. Also make sure that the sewage system does not need any repairs, or at least they mentioned that it's not. Here, page number 4, this goes into dwelling and insulation. So normally, if it's an old property, it may not have insulation within the interior walls and ceiling and floors, but this house has been recently renovated just a few years ago. So this one does have insulation in the ceiling and exterior walls. They marked unknown in the floors. I know new homes today do have insulation on the floors. They put down the foundation, they put down the woodworks on top, and then they roll this like foam pad, this insulation on top between the foundation and the ground, and that's your insulation there. Very nice. Keeps your house heated when it needs to be heated and cooled when it needs to be cooled. Are there any issues or defective issues with the insulated doors or windows? No. Depending on who you want to rent to, you need to have insulated doors and windows. I believe for Section 8, and if you want to sell the home to VA or FHA, I believe they need to have insulated doors and windows to meet certain requirements. Dwelling in the structure. Has the roof ever leaked? Has it been repaired at all? These are important things to mark. So this roof has never leaked. Also, if you're having tenants in place, when I did my walkthrough on the other property, they didn't have any carbon monoxide detector, they didn't have any smoke alarm systems, but they had a tenant in place. That's a huge risk. You can get sued, taken to court on that, because you actually have to verify, if the tenant itself takes it out, you could be liable for that. And I prefer not to look for homes that have wood stoves or fireplaces, but if they do, that's completely fine. That actually counts. Here in Oregon, you have to have a heat source for the tenant, but you don't have to have a cooling system like an AC. So as long as they have a wood stove or fireplace, that's within the law. But this property here doesn't have any sort of wood stove. It's all heated by gas. So that's pretty norm now. Here, also check for dry rot. Has this home has it had an inspection done within the past 3 years? So has post and dry rot structure and whole house inspection been done within the last 3 years? Yes. So I am also requesting them to do it. If they have a report here recently, they'll probably send it to me. I haven't seen it. Do they have any issues with moisture or sump pump in the property? I'm not sure what sump pump is. I'll have to check that out. And then, are there any sort of illegal or stuff that would be recalled, class action lawsuit, or settlement against materials made within this home? So they either mark no or not applicable. Let's go on to the next page here, page 5. So here, this basically just talks about the wiring of the property, so dwelling systems and fixtures. There we are. How's the electrical system? So electrical system, including wiring, stitches, outlets, and services, is it all within working order? And of the time of this purchase, yes, everything as far as switches, outlets, and service are in service. Pipes, faucets, fixtures, toilets, that's all working. It has a water heater tank, so it's actually heated. Garbage disposal doesn't have a garbage disposal. This causes a bunch of issues. You can look it up. A lot of people, when they buy rentals, will actually remove the garbage disposal because if kids or people jam something down the garbage disposal, I've heard crazy stories of people just having weird stuff jammed down there. You'll get called out there. Your property manager will get called out there. So garbage disposals, just have it removed. Built-in range or oven. It does have a built-in range and oven. Heating and cooling systems. It has a heating system. So it doesn't have a fire stove, but it does have a heating system, which is important. And here we're talking about security systems, talking about other sort of materials, problems in the product with any way. So no, nothing there. Common interest. So here we went from dwelling systems and fixtures, so inside the home, to now common interest. So is there a home owners association, HOA, where you would get charged additional fees and little things, and then it would tell you, is it part of an HOA, who their contact number is, and address. This home does not. It's a single family home detached from all of it, so it does not. And then it would kind of go over and talk, a couple little additions. Do they have a tennis court, common entry, pools, fences, what needs to be maintained, what's not maintained? So that's all covered there. On to the next is the seismic. Why can't I click there? There we are. So seismic, was this home built before 1974? So yes, it was built before 1974. If yes, has this house ever been bolted to its foundation? So it has not been bolted to this foundation. So this thing here, not a huge red flag. Here in Oregon, we very rarely have any sort of earthquakes. It's all along the coast. I know there's been a couple threes along the coast, but we never feel anything here where I'm located at or where I'm buying this property. So not a huge thing, knowing that it's not bolted to the foundation. Here, general, are there any problems with the settling, soil, standing water on drainage? So no. I know that other property had huge issues with settling and soil, standing water, had a huge leak out front, plus all four corners of the house had came down. This property contained fill, unknown, and a bunch of other, is there any material damage to the property as far as wind, floods, beach movements, earthquakes? No, no, no. Is it in a flood plan? No. Some people really like to not buy homes in a flood plan. That's just extra insurance you need to have. Is there any sort of designated slide or other geological hazard zone? No. Any mold, lead, and so on, septic issues? No. So this is just safety here. A lot of safety here. A lot here towards the bottom. Has this property ever been used as an illegal drug manufacturing or distribution sale? That would be a no. So good thing there. And has this property been classified as a forest land urban interface? No. And that is basically it as far as the disclosures have to go. And then on the last page, they would just sign, make sure, property address, and then their signature would go right here down on the bottom. About to remove that snippet. And that is it. That's their seller's property disclosure. You got to read it line by line to really get what they're kind of going over and disclosing to you. My main things was the title. So make sure that the title's clean, plumbing, heating, dry rot, sewage system, electrical, plumbing. I think we covered a lot about water source. I like to have, no fireplace, no, but a lot of those little things here and there could be removed. So that is the seller's property disclosure. Hopefully it wasn't too long. And if you guys did like that video, remember to give it a thumbs up button below. I am going to go ahead and do a walkthrough of this home next Sunday, I believe. I'm going to be doing I should have a video out by next Sunday of the walkthrough of this property. And yeah, I think that's good. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you do have any other questions, let me know in the comment section below. This here is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath here located in Oregon. Made an offer on a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. So hopefully that goes through sometime this week and I get accepted. And that is it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.